We are back. Sam Seder, Emma Vigeland, on the Majority Report. Dago Lefty. Hey, Sam, you should get that Ezra Klein back on. I saw an abundance of houses flowing down the Guadalupe River. Yeah.
Well,
Obama got it with the late blurb.
You know, when I saw all those that footage of our entire city flooding yesterday because of the flash flood, what I thought was more deregulation, please.
We've got to allow people to live in basements. If they're not properly, I mean, there was a couple of years ago, was it Sandy, where a couple of people died trapped in their basements.
Flash flooding, yeah.
Zoran talks about making our infrastructure more climate resilient. One of the many reasons I can't wait to vote for him for a second time.
San Diego finest. If only we paid teachers more in this country, maybe high school teacher Jeffrey Epstein wouldn't have resorted to becoming a billionaire pedophile. Just saying.
Yeah, like he was at a public school.
All right, let's go over this MAGA saga, as it were, of Donald Trump over the weekend. We didn't get to this yesterday, but he wanted to let people know, like, what's going on with my gals and my guys. They're so uptight about this. I mean, I'm sorry.
What's going on with my
gals?
Boy? And in some cases, gals.
This is, you know how, like, what is it? Like, every family is... Or it was the best of times, it was the worst of times. Like the best, like, first lines in literary history. This is up there. What's going on with my boys? And in some cases, gals.
Like Laura Loomer. Laura.
They're all going after Attorney General Pam Bondi, who's doing a fantastic job
of covering up the Epstein files.
We're on Team MAGA. Incidentally, we're on one team. MAGA. I don't know if he did this because he actually got the apostrophes correct. And I don't like what's happening. We have a perfect administration, the talk of the world. And selfish people are trying to hurt it all over a guy who never dies, despite the fact that I had him.
And don't look up when he died and under which administration.
A guy who never dies is like how a Bond villain would talk about James Bond after he escaped from another, like, death trap.
Jeffrey Epstein. For years, it's Epstein over and over again. Why are we giving publicity to files and capitals written by Obama, crooked Hillary, Comey, Brennan, and the losers and criminals of the Biden administration who conned the world with Russia hoax, 51 intelligence agents, the laptop from hell, and more? They created the Epstein files, just like they created the fake Hillary Clinton, Christopher Steele dossier that they used on me. Talk about things that have been talked about over and over again. And now
my 12 days of Christmas.
My so-called friends are playing right into their hands. Why didn't these radical left lunatics release the Epstein files? If there was anything that could have hurt the MAGA movement, why didn't they use it? They haven't even given up on the John F. Kennedy or Martin Luther King Jr. files.
Just to answer that question, you can cut back, Brian. The reason that they didn't is because they're also complicit. Christine Pelosi herself tweeted out, and the tweet is still up, when Epstein was arrested. Some of our faves may be implicated. We need to follow justice where it goes. She wasn't saying that for her health. Okay.
No, but you know who is really just the Machiavellian person pulling the strings behind the scenes? I mean, that Hillary Clinton, she got back at her husband Bill, who cheated on her with Monica Lewinsky, in the most just like long game way by writing the Epstein files so that he would be directly implicated in the pedophile ring.
Did she write the part where her daughter had Ghislaine Maxwell at her wedding?
I mean, but that's how you plant the seeds, because
Sneaky.
she was playing the long game.
Bill throw people off the trail, Matt. I can't believe you fell for that.
Bill had to get his comeuppance eventually for humiliating her like that. I mean, she should be calling on the release of the files that she wrote for that very reason.
Feels like maybe you fell into that trap, Matt.
Were the Democrats, was it this filled with a cabal of liberal degenerates, or was it written by Obama and Hillary Clinton, and then there's been nothing in them altogether? And why, if there's no list, no client list, then why is Ghislaine Maxwell in jail or in prison? The charges against her were about basically facilitating the abuse of these girls with the list that she had. So free her. There's no client list. It's forged. It's written by the Democrats.
Well,
then
there's not necessarily a client list to know that they have been trafficked. I mean,
that's what was alleged that's what the evidence was presented in the Maxwell trial.
That there was a client list?
Yes.
Well, I didn't follow it that much, I have to admit. But apparently, Donald Trump's commenters did. Let's look at how Donald Trump's commenters on Truth Social responded to the president, saying, "There's no there, guys. Come on."
1 second.
Pull it up.
By the way, we should make a shirt that says "Free Maxwell."
Yes. I want to hear what she has to say.
Or how about what's up with my boys? And in some instances, my gals.
These are the replies here.
So here's the first tweet. Lose the music.
I like how dramatic it is.
It's like scores for idiots. Here's how you're supposed to. Let's go there.
Okay. Here's Chrissy 367. We want the elite pedos exposed. Oh wait, can you slow? We want the elite pedos exposed. You promised us that. Pam promised us that. Cash promised us. Now it's our fault that we want that promise fulfilled. What else has she lied to us about? Keep going.
Yeah.
This is going to cost you so many supporters. We want keep going.
You
You're
are
having
losing too
trouble.
many in your base. Have an aide collect what we are saying all over social media. Pam Bondi has not been telling us the truth. Her story changed each time. Sir, you need to listen to us.
Good sir.
Are you aware how long and hard many of us work? What have you do? I'm in True Social. We refuse to give this a pass. For us, this will not go away. This is about the children.
You could tell these are all old people because they're talking like they think they're talking to Pam and Trump.
Oh, here's a Dershowitz reference. That's funny. They can't be charged with child trafficking without there being perpetrators. Alan Dershowitz, who is accused of being one of them, has seen the list when he went to defend himself. We want the guilty to pay, it appears. And I have to see more of that one. My wanting pedophiles to be punished for their crimes doesn't make me less of a patriot, but more. I don't understand the reason for your current attitude, and frankly, I'm beyond the point of caring. I do care about justice, whether you approve or not. That's despite all my rage. Americans care because there needs to be accountability. Without accountability, the same sickos that were his customers are likely still abusing children. On top of that, there's a slap in the face to the many victims that have come forward, people that are... I mean, it's just like, it's hard to take these people seriously about how much they care about victims when Trump has victimized people himself and is indeed in multiple pictures with Ghislaine Maxwell at parties. Like,
yeah, no, I mean, it's quite obvious what's happening here. And like, it's not about the pedo sex ring. This is about what is potentially an intelligence operation. And that's why it's important to uncover it. Like the CIA, this is well documented in history, was working to recruit members of the mafia to assassinate Castro and working with them on a variety of different, like, I think, well, the FBI domestically, but for the CIA, counterintelligence operations, they were trying to recruit the worst of the worst criminals in this country to do their dirty work for them. You think that they would be above doing the same thing right now with a guy like Jeffrey Epstein? Absolutely not. And the fact that that video came out, and I just can't believe that this isn't even more of a story, that Wired on Friday uncovered that they edited the video and smashed two clips together and claimed it was 24 hours of unedited footage. Like, I was more agnostic about some of the theories around this until this happened. Their deep state is just more incompetent and covering up what people are trying to find out than the previous deep states before it, because they knew this wasn't about like an elite cabal of Democrats. They knew that it was probably a part of like highly classified intelligence that they couldn't reveal. So all these kooks got themselves in a bind here.
Here is the Democrats attempting in the House Rules Committee to get the Epstein files released. And weirdly, the Republicans who have been talking about releasing the Epstein files forever seem to not want to now.
Madam Chair, the Epstein files concern issues of abuse of women and abuse of children. You know, as the chair of the Democratic Women's Caucus, you often see me raising issues of we need to address this. And not only that, but Republicans and the MAGA world have said they want to know about this. Your constituents want to know. So the question is, why are they not just releasing them? And I think it's a simple thing to do. And you're going to be asked to vote whether you require the release. That's going to be a simple vote. Will you require the release? Is there anything that needs to be hidden? If there isn't, then just release the files. Silence those who would question it. So every Republican on this committee should be able to easily vote yes. That is the vote you will be making as to whether it should go forward to the floor for that vote. So you, with your vote, will be preventing even the consideration of the release of the Epstein files. You will be voting against the release of the Epstein files. You have the power. Let's see how you vote.
Hearing none, the question's on the amendment. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. No. In the opinion of the chair, the noes have it. The amendment's not
Madam
agreed
Chair, I'm
to.
kind of shocked by that. I will ask for a roll call.
Pretty
What's
sure
he-
you govern.
Yep, it was the only Republican that joined was Ralph Norman, and so it failed. So pretty good job there. I'm enjoying that. That's Representative Teresa Leger or Fernandez of New Mexico.
Virginia Fox, the Republican there, was the one Southern Republican back after Hurricane Katrina to vote against aid for New Orleans. So just to give a little bio for her.
She also voted against Reconstruction stuff too.
I have to say, though, if I was a Donald Trump supporter, if I was a member of MAGA, and I watched the president and his handpicked attorney general refuse to release these files with no explanation other than we've been talking about this guy for a long time. I mean, Trump brought it up a lot of times. We were going to release these files. He told people this. If I was one of those people and then saw the Republicans vote to not release the Epstein files, I would be bereft. I would be sobbing. I would look to my North Star and maybe call that guy for some emotional support.
I mean, you're the best guy, your best friend, or maybe just a right-wing talk radio host.
We go to Travis in South Dakota. Hello, Travis.
Hi, Glenn. Hi, Jason. I tell you what, guys, I feel really betrayed, and I feel really, really angry. We have a president who tells us to move on from Epstein because it doesn't matter. Are you guys still talking about this seriously? And yet he still talks about the 2020 election fraud. He talks about the Hunter Biden laptop. He talks about all this stuff from 5-6 years ago, and he tells us to move on from the Epstein trial or the Epstein case. People like me will not stop talking about this. I feel so betrayed and so angry. This is not what I voted for. If we do not stand up for the children of this country, we have nothing. We have absolutely nothing.
Oh, dear.
And I tell you what, I've also lost a lot of respect for a lot of people that are prominent figures in this country because they are saying, you know what, this doesn't matter. Like Carrie Lake came out on Saturday. She's like, you know what? What really matters is election fraud and post-election fraud. It's like, you know what? The children of this country really, really matter. How can we just sweep them under the rug and not care? Move on, America. Move on.
Travis, thank you for calling. Let me ask you, is there anything that could be said that would make you Go, okay, that's as good as it's going to get for here.
I want transparency and I want justice. All them children, all those families, everything they went through, I don't want to know their names. I pray that God would be with them and give them some sort of peace if they could ever get it. I want transparency and I want justice.
Is there anything that anyone could produce to show you and have you go, okay, Epstein is dead, Gladwell is in prison, and that's the only justice you're going to be able to get?
Gladwell.
I want evidence. Quit telling us.
Gladwell? Sorry.
Malcolm Gladwell.
To put 10,000 hours
tipping point.
into trafficking, and then you'll be an expert.
I don't know that he was implicated. I think he meant Ghislaine Maxwell, but here's a little bit more.
Yeah.
Oh, well, he killed himself, and we saw everything. We have the information. By the way, it doesn't exist. Show us the information. Make me believe. Help me believe that he killed himself. Help me believe that maybe you don't have any evidence against people. Then show us that stuff. I do not trust the government at all, and yet they expect me to take their word for it. I'm sorry, you lost your credibility a long time ago, government. You need to start gaining the
Pause it
trust
for a
of this
second.
American.
I have to wonder why this viewer of Glenn Beck would be so conspiratorial, so convinced that the government was run by this evil cabal, that there was such mysticism around all of these decisions. I can't imagine where this Glenn Beck listener got this information from, but I do appreciate Glenn Beck trying to find out what the talking point is that would allow them to move on from this. Go ahead.
Customer service.
Exactly.
Me to take their word for it. I'm sorry, you lost your credibility a long time ago, government. You need to start gaining the trust of these American people back. And I really hope and pray that they can at least provide some sort of evidence.
How do you prove the negative, Travis? Mm-hmm. See, that's where I'm at. I think I'm right where you are. I'm beyond. I don't have a horse in this race. What I have is common sense. And what I have is maybe a bunch of people hyping this up for a very long time. But then I need somebody to say, hey, these people were hyping this for this reason. And here, let me show you how that was done. I want to believe. I want to believe in the good.
X-Files over here.
So help me. But I don't know how you prove a negative. How do you prove there is no evidence?
I absolutely agree. If all these people like me are all upset about this Epstein client list and it's all been for naught all these years, then help me believe that, you know what, you've been wrong this entire time. And actually, there's some really good things out there. And if it's the opposite, show us that evidence too. Right now, all we have to go on is the word and trust of the United States government. And they don't tell us anything. So this is what we found, and the documents we're going to give you are going to be, mostly redacted, but the information's there. We just can't show it to you. You got to help us out a little bit. There's a lot of good in this country, but you got to help us out a little bit.
Travis, I don't think anyone could have said it better than that. Thank you.
Oh my God.
God. I mean,
the problem here is I can't even.
It's a lot.
No, I mean, yeah. Well, the problem here is that this is what conspiracy theories that have staying power do, is they take a kernel of truth or something that they're tapping into something that resonates with like a shocking event or people's current alienation with the government, and they distort it into something that isn't true or that fits some sort of reactionary kind of vision, which is for the right, they'll kind of get 90% of the way there in many ways and talk about how, yes, it seems like the government is covering it up. But if they make a connection to Israeli intelligence via Maxwell's father being Mossad, or some of the other links, like Ehud Barak being one of the buddies of Jeffrey Epstein, photographed going into his house, vacationing with him, whatever, like they'll look at that evidence and they'll basically say, oh, it's a secret cabal of Jews who are the puppet masters behind everything, running our government. Where it's much closer to what, like, standard intelligence assets that we've seen throughout history, right? Where somebody might be a criminal engaging in a criminal enterprise, then they'll flip on somebody or become an asset, and then that thing can grow in the way that this potentially had the opportunity to grow into some sort of blackmail operation with both U.S. and Israeli intelligence involved, because it would make sense that they would coordinate, and it would make sense that the U.S. would be the ones, or the CIA or somebody here, that would bring him in and find that information useful, because the left analyzes Israel as an arm of U.S. intelligence, not as the secret cabal that's running the show. And that's where their analysis or their conspiracism stems from. Because their conspiracy theories never critique systems of power. It's always about different groups of minorities that are the problem, or some sort of subterfuge that involves liberal degeneracy.
It's very funny to hear Glenn Beck say, well, what might have happened is some people were hyping something without principles. And
right.
Coming from Glenn Beck, who has done that his entire career, whether it's Jade Helm or Benghazi or Clockboy, the supposed terrorist in Texas schools that was doing an alarm clock that was a little bit bomb-like. That's all he does, is that sort of hyping thing. But the truth is, it's a little bit of both. They found this story tantalizing because especially the Clintons were implicated. They didn't realize, they didn't read to the end, where also Donald Trump massively implicated as well. And now that they've sort of caught the car, they're the dog that caught the car, they're realizing, oh, wait a second here. We just wanted to run after this thing barking. We didn't want to actually have to put up or shut up. And so guys like Travis, yeah, buddy, you voted for as AOC said, a rapist. And he's also one who's in multiple pictures with Ghislaine Maxwell and was present when Epstein died in custody.
And said when Maxwell had her prison plea deal, he said, I wish her well. And it was followed up on with reporters at the time saying, what? Or I remember that, or maybe they didn't follow up. But that was what his response was, which people were like, that's a little odd to wish this woman well, as she was basically the number 2 in a ring that was abusing these young girls. That seems a little weird. But maybe he wanted to put in some good vibes with her because she has a lot of information that could be incriminating.
The DOJ, I think it was yesterday, announced that they're going to fight her appeal. I don't think they want her back in court for sure. What I also found that part about that Beck said some people may have hyped this, because the way that this ends, it seems to me, is I unless they release something, but I don't think they're capable at this point of releasing anything that is going to satiate the fire. So they're going to have to someone's going to have to take the fall here. Someone is going to have to be the fall guy. I mean, that's what Beck was basically saying. We need the president or somebody to come out and say, hey, that person and that person were hyping this, and it's not real. That's what he's saying. We need that explanation. And that's the bar that they're setting for themselves. I can't wait to see who it's going to be thrown over the good ship Trump, because they were hyping this. But look at what this. Harry Enton did a report on a Google search. This was last Friday. It feels like this is not going to go away for the president. Yeah. Put this up here. This is Harry Enton on CNN.
What a massive unforced error by the Trump administration. Donald Trump would love this story to go away, but in fact, interest is climbing higher and higher, to quote Jackie Wilson. Look at this. Google searches for Epstein up 1,200% this week versus last. And get this, it is currently the top topic search with Trump on Google alongside his presidency. So Donald Trump normally, leans in leans into stories in which there's controversy, like tariffs, for example. This is a story in which he's trying to get away from basically saying, why is anyone still interested in this story? But the bottom line is people are very interested in this story to historic degrees, at least this week.
Give us some perspective, as you see that 1,200 number, about other stories in comparison, how people are viewing this one.
Yeah, okay. So, I mentioned tariffs earlier on, right? Epstein has been Googled a lot since Monday. He has actually been Googled 1.4 times as much as tariffs has been Googled. And that is, of course, a huge news story. How about Grok, which is another insane news story this week? I mean, my goodness gracious. But in fact, Epstein has been Googled 2.5 times as much.
Is he alluding to the Grok Mecha Hitler thing?
Yeah.
Or the Grok getting a huge Department of Defense contract? Because both of those
The
pretty
Mecha
interesting.
Hitler, I would imagine.
As the Grok story has been Googled. So the bottom line is this is a story in which there's a lot of interest, and it's one of the few stories in which both Steve Bannon and Elon Musk are going after Trump, at least the Trump administration. He's managed to bring together two parts of the administration or two parts of the fan base that have normally been against each other.
Yeah, you can bet on anything, and this proves it. What are you seeing as far as whether or not people think that they will actually release these Epstein files?
Yeah, I know my buddy Vin from Jersey would love for the Trump administration to release more Epstein files. But get this, Trump releasing more Epstein files in 2025.
I don't care about the betting market
You go back
odds.
2 months ago, it was 43%.
So, all right. So
even a month ago.
This is, and so what do you do if you are Trump Inc. and you are trying to get out from under this? You've got callers calling in to Glenn Beck crying how they feel so betrayed. You've got Google searches up by 1,200%. It is the biggest story out there. And Trump himself, every time he says we shouldn't talk about this more, people go and search and find out why. He tries to tell his boys and gals on Truth Social to get it. What do you do? Well, of course, you call your water carriers and say, hey, we have some water for you to carry immediately. This is an emergency. Grab your bucket, Charlie Kirk.
Honestly, I'm done talking about Epstein for the time being. I'm going to trust my friends in the administration. I'm going to trust my friends in the government to do what needs to be done, solve it, balls in their hands. I've said plenty this last weekend. So if you guys want to see my commentary on it, that's fine.
But I'm shutting up.
Yeah. And it's fascinating that he would say that, just like completely independently, right? That he trusts his friends in the administration. Anyway, CNN reported on Saturday that Trump called his allies in the media space over the weekend. Privately, Trump has doubled down on his support for Bondi. I wonder why. Maybe it's because she's acting at his behest. The president called some of the attorney general's most vocal critics over the weekend in an effort to stem the bleeding over the Epstein files. 3 sources familiar with the matter told CNN. Trump's calls included one with conservative activist Charlie Kirk on Saturday to express his support for Bondi. The call came as prominent MAGA supporters repeatedly criticized the attorney general at Kirk's Turning Point USA Student Action Summit in Florida. So, looks like Charlie, he got a call from the guy up top, and his commentary adjusted to that fact. So for all these right-wingers that trust these guys, do you really trust somebody that will take their marching orders from people in power?
Can I just enter into the record some of the evidence that the Southern District of New York purportedly had claimed to have back in 2019? This is from Erica Orden, who was a legal reporter at Politico. Yeah. Just to read at the end of this here. Additionally, while these items were only seized this weekend and are still being reviewed, some of the nude or partially nude photographs appear to be of underage girls, including at least one girl who, according to her counsel, was underage at the time the relevant photographs were taken. Additionally, some of the photographs referenced herein were discovered in a locked safe in which law enforcement officers also found compact discs with handwritten labels, including the following, quote, young, and then in brackets name, plus, and then in brackets another name. or miscellaneous nudes 1, and girl pics nude. The defendant, a registered sex offender, is not reformed, he is not chastened, he is not repentant. Rather, he is a continuing danger to the community and an individual who faces devastating evidence supporting a deeply serious charges. So what happened to those tapes would be one simple question to ask.
Right.
And of course, the ones that are say young name plus name, that's the plus name is really what people are talking about, right?
Exactly.
I mean, that's what people want to know.
Yeah, right. And exactly. I think we could do that another time. But
What, the Rupar one? Let's do the Rupar. And
which is
wait, which one do you want to do?
No, I was just saying like the Shapiro and Kelly.
Yeah,
thing's
we'll do
pretty
that.
long.
We'll do that
Let's do it
tomorrow.
another time. But
Emma
but
wants to spend a lot of time with that one.
No,
But
mean,
let's pop this up from Rupar because again, here's Donald Trump. 4 days after his Truth Social bomb, and days after calling Charlie Kirk and getting Charlie Kirk to swear that he's never going to talk about it again.
What I just
because
sent, I think.
he said everything.
Yeah.
And here he is. I mean, Donald Trump cannot shake this story for whatever reason. Who knows why he just won't address this? It's so strange.
The Attorney General briefed you on the DOJ and FBI review, the findings of that review. The Attorney General briefed you on
that. On what? On the
DOJ and FBI
on what?
review.
On what subject?
Epstein. Okay. On Epstein, of the review of the files. Attorney General Pam Bondi.
A very quick briefing.
Did she tell you, what did she tell you about the review? And specifically, did she tell you at all that your name appeared in the file?
No, she's given us just a very quick briefing, and in terms of the credibility of the different things that they've seen. And I would say that, these files were made up by Comey, they were made up by Obama, they were made up by the Biden,
made up.
We went through years of that with the Russia hoax, with all of the different things that we had to go through. We've gone through years of it, but she's handled it very well, and it's going to be up to her. Whatever she thinks is credible, she should release. Yeah.
I like how they made it up to never release them.
Yes, it's just
Biden. Wait a sec. So let me get this straight. Biden and Comey and Clinton made up the files. Obama
too.
And then Biden refused to release them because he was going to release them in the second term. That's why.
How could Obama have made up the files from 2008 to 2016? Epstein wasn't indicted until after that, but if he's referring to the previous bungled prosecution, that would have been under George W. Bush. And that was when Alex Acosta reportedly said Epstein belonged to intelligence, and he was facing life in federal prison and ended up getting 13 months in Palm Beach where he could leave on the weekends.
Do you really think that Obama stopped making up these files just because he left the presidency?
Do you think if you made them up, you would write on a disc, young girl nude? Like, you know what I mean? If you were making these files up?
And name, of course. That's like exactly how you would do it.
I mean, he's a media producer now.
And Trump should be calling on freeing his buddy Ghislaine Maxwell from prison, who's in there for, 20 years over apparently coordinating this abuse of girls between Epstein and clients, but apparently there were no clients. It's just all made up.
Well, I mean, give him some time, and the poly market odds might show that he might.
And that's what I follow.
Russia.
Also, who was the Florida AG during Obama?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
What a coincidence.
This guy's been talked about for years.
It is impressive how he only got the brief briefing. We get the quick one, and how he is at least staying on message to his tweet, his truth social post.
It's so funny to hit guys like Travis from South Dakota who called into Glenn Beck with the, "You're actually Russiagating me right now." It's just like Russia, Epstein.
except it would be as if Trump was hyping up the Russia thing and then immediately did an entire 180 when in office. Hilarious.
We should probably call into the phones. There's a couple of stories actually that, I just wanted to touch on briefly. I think we'll still have Epstein to kick around for a while.
For sure.
Don't know what's happening with the rescission, but as of this morning, Russ Vought was going to meet with Senate Republicans. Trump is pushing rescission. They had planned to hold the first vote in the process today. It's not clear if it's going to happen in the Senate Appropriations Committee because they don't know if they have cuts. Senate Republicans are worried about PEPFAR, which was a George W. Bush era HIV/AIDS prevention program. There are other things that some of the Republicans have a problem with, but I think in a large extent, they're nervous about the idea of rescissions because it will open the door to, I don't know, let's defund ICE under President Mamdani after he gets, after Democrats take control and make naturalized citizens eligible for the presidency. We'll give you an update on that rescission bill tomorrow. This is also really important. Coming from the Washington Post, Trump administration has unilaterally declared that immigrants who arrive in the United States without documentation are no longer eligible for a bond hearing as they fight deportation proceedings in court. Todd Lyons, acting director of ICE, told officers that such immigrants should be detained for the duration of their removal proceedings, which can take months or years. Lawyers say this policy will apply to millions of immigrants who crossed the U.S.-Mexico border over the past few decades, including under the Biden administration. In the past, immigrants residing in the U.S. interior generally have been allowed to request a bond hearing before an immigration judge. However, the ICE and DHS revisited its legal position on detention and release authorities. So more often than not, what has happened in the past, if there are people who are found to be in the country without documentation, they go to a hearing. They say, I want to fight these deportation proceedings on these grounds. And then they're given a subsequent court date, or they're told that there's going to be a scheduled court date. In the meantime, they are allowed to stay out on bond if it is also shown that they have like a family here, or they have a place to stay, or they're not going to be a burden on the Medicaid or whatnot. And then like the rate of response and returning to court is somewhere around like the high 90s, or was. And so this was an efficient way to do this because there isn't nearly enough beds to detain all these people. Now they have reinterpreted a section of immigration law that says unauthorized immigrants shall be detained after their arrest, but historically is applied to only those who recently crossed the border and not longtime residents. And according to its 2024 annual report, ICE said it detains immigrants only when necessary, and that the vast majority of the 7.6 million people then on its docket were released pending immigration proceedings. Keeping them detained while their case is adjudicated has not been logistically possible, and advocates have raised concern for migrants' health and welfare in civil immigration detention. You are already, as an immigrant, subject to mandatory detention without bond if you've been convicted of murder or any serious crime. So this is going to up the the potential for people in detention by hundreds of thousands, if not millions. And, supposedly we're only going to have 100,000 detention beds. It's unclear, if this is just a provision to make sure that they can fill every last one of those, enriching all of these private prison companies. Stephen Miller apparently has an interest in them. But it remains to be seen what's going to happen to these people once they're in detention. And the idea of using them in the same way that we see some prison labor being used seems to me, particularly because of the states they'll be in, seems to me to be on the table. And, again, despite the fact that Donald Trump's immigration numbers are in the toilet, you don't see Democrats coming out with any defense of immigrants. I mean, as a party, or any proposed legislation or policy to deal with immigration in a way that is fundamentally different from Donald Trump. You see them basically go 3/4 of the way of where Trump is, because they feel that they need to burgeon their their status as being hard on immigrants. And it has been incredibly unsuccessfully, both as a political matter and as a policy matter. It just doesn't work. All right, I'm going to turn the voicemail off. Sorry. Calling from a call number 646-257-3920, 646-257-3920. We will take your phone calls. Congressional baseball fan. Oh, you think it's suspicious that the Epstein files were named young girl nude.jpg? Well, wait till you find out what's in the other files on Pam Bondi's desk. A letter called JFK Assassination Plan by 1L Oswald. May I direct your attention to evidence recovered from Roswell, New Mexico crash site. It's called, it's a book called On How to Serve Man. It's a cookbook. Let that sink in. Calling from a 517 area code. Who's this? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Sam.
Hey, who's this? Where are you calling from?
Hey, this is Seth. I'm calling from Texas.
Seth from Texas. What's on your mind?
A couple things quickly. One thing about Trump's that truth that he put out, Epstein, the man who will never die. I think, Matt, you made that observation. It sounds almost like a Bond thing. Doesn't that, I mean, given when Epstein died, and wasn't there a failed suicide / attempt, that ex-cop that had the whole thing before, Epstein allegedly killed himself? Like the expression, the man who never, this is just the guy who won't die. It's almost like Epstein's a sort of Rasputin-like character. I have an English lit PhD, so I'm projecting a little bit of, reading between the lines. I'm just saying it's a weird phrase. Obviously, there's nothing there, but just pretty weird. I live in Texas. I'm around a bunch of libertarian guys. They're all pissed. I just want to say I think this is really changing.
It is. It's creating a credibility problem with him and his base that I want to exploit as much as we can, basically.
I will say, though, the thing I'm picking up, and you guys will probably be seeing more of this too, the level of nihilism coming from the right. I was talking to somebody about, I work in kind of healthcare related fields, and I was talking just about the impact of the bill and everything on Medicaid and stuff, and how all these NIH researchers and all these people going overseas. And the response I got from some of these right-wingers, libertarians types, was like, well, maybe this is good. They're kind of like running the accelerationist argument, like, well, maybe this is good because it'll break America and then we'll actually get to fix things. And I'm like, wait, so, the argument is that it's good that Trump is destroying the country and, that's your politics. It's very deeply nihilistic.
This is the mistake, I think, that, that Chuck Schumer and others, I think, have made, is that they think the theoretical breaking of America is not a feature, is a bug rather than a feature of Trump. Trump was first elected because people thought that he was going to shake things up and that he may break some things, but that's what we needed. And the problem is that until people actually experience it, until they see images of, a mother or an old man getting or a kid being picked up in an ICE sweep, they don't have any type of reaction to it until people start to see people getting kicked off of Medicaid and to see the implications of people off of SNAP and the college. No one's going to react to it. That doesn't mean that I don't think the Democrats are going to do well in the midterm elections, because that's sort of baked into the cake. But all of these things as being as important of in the context of being in theory, I just don't think work in the way that Democratic leadership thinks it works. And I will also say it also discounts like COVID. I mean, we had over 1 million people die, well over 1 million people die that should not have died. And no one seems to even be even slightly sort of like, wait a second, we really need to figure out what we did wrong. There hasn't been, we never had like a COVID commission. We never had any, how do we prevent this in the future? Or what did we do wrong in the past? None of it. We had the exact opposite. I mean, it's nihilism.
And then there's also
I'm seeing this shift happen in all. I also talk about China with a lot of these guys. These are all like financial, economic, macro dudes. And they're like, at first it's like, oh yeah, we're going to beat China, and now they're saying like, no, it's actually good that China's doing all this great stuff, and because it's gonna, they're like, I don't know if it's they're gunning for the conflict or whatever, but it's almost like it feels like some weird nihilistic jujitsu. It was like, he's going to fix everything. It's like, no, actually, by breaking things, that's the better outcome. It's really wild.
But this is where, like, you have an opposition party that is a party of liberal maintenance and selling themselves as good stewards of government that has a government that has no credibility with the American people. And why would it?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, this Missouri story is just a bee in my bonnet about that ballot referendum for paid sick leave that 57+% of Missourians voted on. It was in law. The state Supreme Court upheld it unanimously, and the Republican governor rolled it back. It would have benefited 700,000 plus Missourians with paid sick leave. And like, this is not a democracy that's functioning. This is not a democracy that's democratic. We occasionally have democratic outcomes in certain races, but in many parts of this country, people do not have their voices heard. And it's on the Democratic Party not just to present themselves as a concierge, as Sam would say about Schumer, or as somebody that's going to make things okay. They have to give a positive vision, because people don't want the maintenance of a system that's exploiting them. They want to change. And that's part of why you can like breed this nihilism, is because there's nobody else in the ecosystem that's advertising a positive vision that would build something better.
Appreciate the call.
I would say my
I gotta jump. Apparently, according to the Mill Rind, Pam Bondi's holding a news conference right now.
Woof.
We'll have to cover that tomorrow, I think. Calling from a 954 area code. Who's this? Where are you calling from?
Hi there. This is Eddie. You can hear me?
Yeah, Eddie. Where are you calling from?
All right, perfect. Thank you. I do tarot readings as Luigi Kaczynski on YouTube, and I pulled some cards for you. I'm just going to let you know what they are. Hopefully, none of this conflicts with your spirituality. But Emma, I got a Six of Swords for you. A lot to do with independence and cutting any kind of like baggage. You seem to be doing pretty good at that. You seem to have had a recent life achievement. So congratulations for that.
Thank you. I like this. Wait, so the swords symbolize cutting baggage from my life?
Oh no, the sword. I mean, the swords themselves has more to do with like communication, but overall, when you get like a 6 of swords versus like a 7 of swords, you're gonna have. I use the word cutting just because I didn't mean to imply that you're using a sword. Yeah. All right. So Sam, you got a reverse 3 of Pentacles, which is interesting. So I drew a clarification card. And you got a 5 of Cups with that. Now,
Cups.
I just want. Now, I'm not trolling or anything, so I'm just going to try to like be straightforward with this. Are you familiar with Mike David from Red Bar?
No.
Okay, so Red Bar is this. He's friends with Tim Heidecker. I know you had a beef with Tim Heidecker at one time.
I have some
and
real problems
Red
with Tim
Bar
Heidecker.
has been doing an investigation on you, and I do think that's something that you should probably look into.
What is Red Bar? Is that a website?
Yeah, it is a website, Red Bar Radio. But he's like a comedian, and he's friends with Tim Heidecker. And he's very funny. I do highly recommend his show. I would call him dark woke, so viewer discretion advised.
Okay. And they're doing an investigation into me, probably on Heidecker's behalf, right?
Tim Heidecker has nothing to do with the investigation. Mike David recently watched your show, actually probably a couple months ago. And ever since, it's kind of put me on the trail because I'm a big fan of both of you guys, and I do tarot readings, so I always find
Okay, so wait, so what does the tarot reading have to do with what's his name? Mike Davis?
Mike David.
And so what does the tarot reading have to do with this? Are
All
you
right,
feeding
so the
him
5 of
information on my
Cups
tarot stuff?
Yeah, so the 5 of Cups is a guilt card. I've drawn it for Donald Trump multiple times, so I've always found it interesting. I'm very into this card. But Mike David is a guy who likes to try to find something within people. Now, I am a big fan of yours. I don't think you're guilty of anything. I think.
Well, what is the charge? And I will.
He's had some. Yeah, it's interesting. So he's had some issues with your set, and he's had some issues with your analysis of Tony Hinchcliffe, and I think Emma actually
came up with
Tony Hinchcliffe, the comedian.
No. But you said he had some.
Wait.
Before you got to Hinchcliffe, you said he has an issue with my set.
Yes, your set. I mean, I'm just trying to recall exactly what he said. This was a few months ago. And thinking aloud, sort of, but sorry.
Oh, I'm looking at a video right now from June. The baby set and the overuse of baby blue and pink colors.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was one half of what was being.
I mean,
the
maybe
other thing
guilty?
is the Tony Hinchcliffe, which I do think is more important. But yeah, he doesn't like your set.
Okay.
I think that is something that.
But I don't understand. So the tarot cards show that I'm guilty of the overuse of the baby colors in the set.
Well, I mean, it does seem at the very least like if Red Bar opens up an investigation, the assumption is guilt. Now, the reverse 3 of Pentacles has to do with shedding away of things that kind of hold you back. So my guess is you should do something about your set. And that's just what the cards seem to be pointing towards.
All right. Well, maybe we'll look into doing some bolder colors.
Yeah, maybe like a darker blue and a harsher red.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to look into that. I need to search my soul first.
Yeah, no, definitely.
And what's the Hinchcliffe thing?
Yeah, so you seem to give Tony Hinchcliffe a little too much credit. I think Emma even actually said you were giving him too much credit over this. It was like Tony Hinchcliffe is just like this guy who's a total shill for Trump, total shill for Republicans. He's not like a real comedian, and you should definitely not assume anything good about what he's doing or saying.
Okay, so I may be guilty of being too charitable to Tony Hinchcliffe. Is that the other thing?
That is like.
I'm going to shed this stuff right
now.
now. I'm going to 3-cup this totally. I think it's very possible that I was too charitable, but I appreciate I'm going to
Thank
think
you
about
for the
this.
insights.
I thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you.
But what can you do with this information? Whether or not it's true is not what matters, though it does play a role.
I put in a Tim Pool thing in Slack. We could play it tomorrow, where his perspective on liberals and our perspective on liberals, and I guess presumably the left as well, broadly speaking, don't understand what slavery is.
Because you're not having real conversations.
Let's take another call. Calling from a 463 area code. Who's this? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Sam. Is this Sam?
Yeah. Who's this?
Hey, this is Bubba from. I'm originally from Arkansas, but calling from a sex dungeon on the north, on the Upper East Side here in Manhattan.
Nice. Rock on.
Just wanted to say that if they discover any discs that say X name with a Big Mac and several large fries and a milkshake.
Maybe don't rock on. Don't rock on. Don't rock on.
That was all Obama's work. That was Joe Biden who planted that. I concur with Donald Trump on that. Y'all have a good day.
All right. Well, thank you for the insight. Yeah. Interesting.
I'm glad we got a head out of that.
I feel like, I think somebody used those sorts of Big Mac eatings as PR value. I don't think it was a big dirty secret for him, but
Calling from a 901 area code. Who's this? Where are you calling from?
Hey, is this me?
Yep.
This is Jeff in Memphis.
Jeff in Memphis. What's on your mind, Jeff?
Hey, I just wanted to call and say thank you to Emma very much for keeping attention on everything that's going on with the XAI Colossus facility here.
Oh, in Memphis. Yes. I mentioned that a few times, but we could do a better job of mentioning it given the level of what I'm hearing is just horrible, horrible pollution from his AI, servers.
Yeah. There's an organization called Oilfield Witness. They came down with an optical gas imaging thermograph, and they actually documented plumes of methane, volatile organic chemicals, and oxides of nitrogen being emitted from all of these temporary generators that they've put in. They initially had 15. They were given a sort of waiver. Basically, the health department said that they weren't going to enforce any regulations on them. For 15, they actually put in place 35, but they said, don't worry about the other 20. They're just here for storage. The mayor went and visited them, and he said, don't worry, they assured us that they're only running 15. It's okay. And then the Southern Environmental Law Center sent up a drone and showed that all 35 of them were actually in operation, full on. And so because these are temporary generators, they do not have basically any pollution controls built in the way that a permanent plant would.
And is any
so they are.
Is Tennessee?
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Is Tennessee going to take any action? I just wonder in this situation, who's left to do anything about it? I could see, you know, I mean, if Tennessee, I imagine is going to be reluctant because state governments are easily bought off, and there's certainly not going to be any EPA enforcement.
Yeah, that's pretty much. It's pretty much just local organizing on the local level. Our state legislator is pretty actively hostile towards the city of Memphis for, racist and economic reasons. And the governor is pretty atrocious too. So there's not really, and Marsha Blackburn is one of our senators, so we can't write to our senator.
Jeez.
One ray of hope is that one of our state senators, state representatives, Justin Pearson, who would be a great guy to have on to talk about this actually on the political side of it. He got his start organizing to prevent the Valero refinery here from putting in another pipeline, and it was going to run across a community called Boxtown, which is the community the neighborhood in Memphis that's nearest to the Colossus facility. And so he actually built a pretty robust coalition of activists, and through protests and actions prevented the Valero pipeline from coming through, and then was elected to the state legislature based on that. He's a pretty great guy.
All right, we'll look into this and see if we can't get a guest on it. Appreciate the call.
Yeah, sure. Just to put it into perspective, before the XAI plant went in, the entire county of Shelby, which encompasses Memphis and all the metro area, used on average about 2 gigawatts. That's 2,000 megawatts a day. The XAI facility alone is using 25% of that.
Jeez.
So,
all right, appreciate the call. We'll check in on it. Thanks. All right, folks, that ends our call-in portion of our program. It is getting towards that time. We only had people hanging on for 18 minutes. So we took like a bunch of calls.
Well done.
That sound signals the end of the call-in portion of the program. Let's read a couple IMs and get out of here. Derpentine would really love your help to get some news about Trader Joe's out there. I know probably sound a bit nutty, but I have some slight hope that getting this out there may cause them to change course. We'll look into that. I haven't heard any news lately on Trader Joe's. Militant apathy. Until America deals with the legacy of slavery, it will continue to be a failed state. Everything effed up in this country has some connection to racism. JR in Philly, are we still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? Dark soul. These effective shutdowns, now obscured through midterms, where forcing a real shutdown by Republicans would have been a hell of a lot clearer. Yes, exactly. Exactly. Worcester Don Draper. Zoran is out here marching for global empanada. The bigger game plan, at least Cuomo took out his nipple rings for that announcement.
Nipple rings and linen don't go together well.
Well, he learned that the hard way.
Franz Brosef. They discussed on True Anon yesterday. There is no list. It's literally a Dan Bongino QAnon fabrication. There's other evidence, yes, and there is enormous circumstantial evidence, but there is no list.
Right, but that's yeah, no, I know. That's the list is just the shorthand for the clients that were being that Maxwell was facilitating. So fair enough, it's like interchange between like the clients and
Well, you don't need to necessarily know who the clients were to know that these women were trafficked.
Right, but I think the thing that is what people want to find out are who the clients were, and so there's a conflation between the flight log and a list, but there is certainly a record of clients. That's how she was able to be convicted.
Joe Snuffy, it isn't hyperbole to call MAGA a doomsday cult when the doomsday cults predicts the apocalypse and it doesn't happen. The cultists usually double down instead of leaving because of emotional cost. Admitting they were wrong is just too high. Trump will probably lose a lot of independence of the Epstein files, but the cultists will find some excuse to double down. I think that's true. It's really sort of like the media people who are embarrassed, I think, because they're embarrassed.
What do you
because
mean?
their audiences, they had primed their audience for this so much, and then they don't get it. That's what the struggle is, right? I mean, if none of these media people were out there demanding the list, this would go away because they don't care about what happens any other circles. They don't care. He's feeling the media pressure, and he feels it more too, I think, because he consumes so much of that right-wing media.
Yeah. I mean, right. And he only cares about responsiveness to his base at this point, and they're actually pissed about something for once.
Saturn Girl. Hey, Sam, got a question for you. When did the Occupy movement become the Vacate movement? I'm not sure. Dizzy McFizzle. Sam, do you think Trump has solved China's soft power problem? Asking for a friend. Kin Boston, regarding the line about poor people not voting for Zoran, is there some way to know how skewed that result is by the Hasidic vote who tend to vote and block and skew poorer? I mean, he did, if you go neighborhood by neighborhood, he did quite well in terms of neighborhoods in the city relative to income distribution. It's hard to I don't know. I haven't seen an analysis of the vote that's gotten that far deep into, to be honest with you. Like where you're talking about different demographics. Because I don't know that there's exit polling on a Democratic primary, mayoral primary. All right, 5 more. Pink Lady. Samanal, how do we get Democratic senators and congressmen and super PACs to weaponize this Epstein material and other stuff with vicious attack ads now? This is how we can castrate the Republican Party. Make them.
Clean the stables first.
Sorry, go on.
Gotta clean the stables first.
Yeah.
I look, Ossoff is out there, but I just, I don't know that it's going to have the resonance you think it is. I think it's a distraction from the administration to some extent, but I don't know.
I mean, it's not just Ossoff. It's also Jamie Raskin, who
well,
is
we
like
just also played the attempt for them to vote to release it.
And AOC. And like, what's the better tactic is not to downplay the conspiracy here, because clearly there's something that's being covered up. There's just no question about it. There's no question.
It's public record that Acosta said he
was
belongs to
intelligent,
intelligence.
and they edited the
Well,
video.
Acosta was told that he was belonging to intelligence.
Exactly. I mean, let's follow that up.
Well, right, and then it would make complete consistent sense with the fact that, yeah, who told him that and whatever. So, like, this is very likely the scenario here. But the Democrats, I understand if they don't want to engage in that. But going on TV like Richie Torres is doing and saying this is all fake, this is all conspiracism, don't believe your lying eyes about this, is the absolute wrong thing that Democrats should be doing. What AOC and Jamie Raskin are doing are, hit Trump on being a rapist and his connection to this, and you don't have to wade into some of the thornier territory that might make people a little bit uncomfortable when you're talking about conspiracy here. Let, podcasters like me do that. The Democrats don't need to do that, but they should not downplay what's being covered up here, like the conservative AIPAC-funded Democrats seem to be doing with fair consistency.
Daniel from Virginia is so transparent that conservatives don't want an educated population. So sickening. My heart breaks for all the children and families who will suffer for and from these evil edicts. I agree. Horrible. So disturbing. Kowalski from Nebraska. The Democrats need to create a wedge issue between traditional law enforcement and ICE agents. The Dems should make a talking point for this budget talk by saying they want to take 80% out of the DHS budget, breaking it into block grants and giving it out to sheriffs and sheriff deputies. I have a feeling there'd be a lot of mistakes made across the country to show that ICE is not as effective as the sheriff's department. Even if it didn't go anywhere, the narrative would that it would create would be amazing. Dave from Jamaica. Emma's right. Can't run a blackmail operation without some indexing of the blackmailed.
Yeah, people are insane if they don't think there was some record kept. And the record, even if there's no list, the record is the videos that aren't being released.
Brick City Born. The numbers provided on the show yesterday of Hispanics being targeted for deportation include Puerto Ricans who are U.S. citizens.
Jesus.
All right, 2 more. Buttercup. Hey, I'm our crew. Can I get a shofar for my birthday? Been listening since about 2018. It's been a huge help in having a daily check on my sanity. Fingers crossed, we might be filing for union recognition soon in my workplace. Left is best. Congratulations. And the final I am of the day, Noah from Tampa. The world is made more interesting with people like this caller in it.
Agreed. I like some of that tarot card reading stuff. I don't know if I believe it, but I'll engage in some light astrology.
I didn't even follow what I was supposedly guilty of, but I got to look into this investigation that's going on.
I had a woman read my palm on my honeymoon and gave some predictions about my life, and I'm just taking it to the bank. This is my new thing now.
I suspect they were good.
They were pretty good, yeah.
Matt, Brian, Emma, great job today. Folks, see you tomorrow.